All right. So we started Ois Yud on page 191. Since that we have less than 30% of the class was here when we started, so we'll start again. I'm sure the other third will not mind. Vehine, im heyois, although the tachlis ho aveda ve'ikra, that the ultimate extent and accomplishment of aveda and its principle is his gaber al hakoiches tivim, is to overcome the natural koiches, ulahapchom lekelim lelakus, and to transform them to become kelim for elakus. This is what we learned in the previous ois, that as a result of the aveda, the nefesh olikis frees itself, breaks out from the imprisonment of the nefesh hativis, of the natural nefesh, and then it is able to actually affect the natural koiches, natural inclination, and this is in fact the tachlis of aveda. This is ultimately the tachlis. Tachlis means the ultimate purpose of aveda. The ultimate purpose of Aveda is not to become a great scholar or to become a good person, but it is to allow the nefesh olekis, the godly nefesh, the godliness, to transform and to elevate the natural koiches. The Aveda Zu, and this Aveda of transforming the Teva to Lukus, he alidei hamidos dafke. This is, we also said, is specifically, this is only accomplished through midos, not through seichel. If one, as he explained in the end of the previous ois, that if one learns and contemplates and understands the union of Elokus, that alone is not going to affect him, practically speaking, at all. Because his natural inclination remains what it is. There is a story about the great philosopher Aristotle. The reason I say the great philosopher is because, even though he was a guy, but philosophically speaking and intellectually speaking, he reached a great extent of accomplishment, very deep insights. Even the Zohar mentions him, and all the Chachmei Yisrael, all the great Chachomim have always referred to him. The Rambam refers to him, because intellectually he reached great heights, great depth. Aristotle. So this Aristotle, the story goes that he taught many things. He taught philosophy, mathematics. In those days, mathematics basically consisted of geometry and things like that, and ethics, proper motor behavior, And it happened that he was found in a very compromising situation where he did something very not nice. So his disciples and his students asked him, "Our master, how is it possible for you to have done such a thing? You, the great author and the great teacher of ethics." And he said that this was my animal. It wasn't me, it was my animal. So now the question is, how can it be your animal without being influenced by you? How can your animal be acting independently of you? The answer is that if you rely exclusively on seichel, and you don't seek to bring the seichel into midas, the animal doesn't hear you. The animal doesn't understand seichel, and he remains exactly the same as he was before. So this is what the Rebbe is saying, and this is the klal. All our avodah is, you should know, is to affect the midas ativim, and that can only be through midas. That the seichel of the seichel of alakus, the seichel nefesh alikis, is then translated and brought down into midas. As we said, not only you should understand that godliness is good and great, but you should actually have an Abba for alakus. You actually experience it, the Abba for alakus. Not just know that it's good, but feel it and experience it. And this Abba and this Yira will subdue and break out from the Nefesh Hativus. So this is how you affect the Nefesh Hativus. So although that midas is the principal weapon with which one overcomes other influences, but nevertheless we have to understand, this fact that the midas are capable of affecting the pa'ulot teva u'shleima with a good and complete effect, hu alidei hamoichin davka, that the midas should be able to function in a wholesome manner, pa'ulot teva u'shleima, that is alidei hamoichin davka, that is only through the moichin. This we discussed a little bit last time when we first started this. This is an important inyan, and I want to delve into this statement here a little bit deeper and have a clarity. The Rebbe says that midas have to function with the ula toiva u'shleima, with a good and complete, a wholesome pa'ula. What is a pa'ula toiva u'shleima? What is not a pa'ula toiva u'shleima? When is it not a wholesome effect, function, act? So we discussed many times in the past the difference between moichin and midas. In a word, is that moichin are objective and midas are subjective. So this objective and subjective, that is how it affects the person. Objective is where he sees things the way things are. And subjective is he sees things how he feels about it, it affects him. This is from a personal perspective. In terms of the truth that he actually sees, there's a very significant difference between the midas, the way the midas see them, and the way the moichin see it. The midas recognize something being true, and the moichin recognize something being true. That truth, the degree to which this is true, is very different between how when the moichin see it than when the midas see it. The midas, since we say it's subjective, it means that it's true because to me this is true. I cannot vouch that you will also see it that way. Well, I'm not even involved to see whether you'll see it that way. I see it this way. When you say, I see it this way, you're immediately qualifying the degree to which you say this is true. It's my choice. I like to see it this way. This is, in fact, what we're having in today's crazy world, pardon me, where people have decided that whichever way I want to see the world, that's how it is. Doesn't mean it's for you, but for me, this is the way it is. I decided that the world is supposed to be upside down. This is the way I want to look at it, and this is the way I look at it. So I'm saying that when we rely entirely on the midas perspective, then truth acquires a different definition. It's not truth per se. It is true to me. So even though it may be a truth, but I'm not interested in the fact that it's true. I'm interested in how I see it, in the fact that I can see it that way. This is the perspective of midas. Mitzad atzma, midas on the mind. Now, you can imagine, don't have to imagine, you can project. If the midas of the nefesh or lekis, you have midas, you love a lakus. You love a lakus because I feel good, I like it. So comes the nefesh habahamis and counters it by saying, but I like this, I like something different. So you enjoy your side, and I'll enjoy my time. When you daven, I'm giving you alone, but now I'm doing my own thing, leave me alone. We don't clash. We're not just talking two different languages. So then, clearly it's not going to be any effect. In addition that it's not going to have an effect, it's not called piyula toivo ushleima. Piyula toivo ushleima means it's a piyula, it's an action that is through and through. That is true in itself. Seichel, we say, is an objective perspective. Objective, as we said many times, objective does not mean I'm just thinking of something, but I don't care, I'm not relating to it. Objective means I'm seeing something not because I prefer to see it this way, but because that's the truth. This is a special gift, you have to realize, a special gift that the Rebbe gave to the human being, to be able to see things not from his own perspective, not how they affect him, but how things are in truth. This is illustrated, as we spoke many times, in sight. Sight versus the other senses. When you touch something, so you know that it exists by virtue of how it affects you as you're touching it. And all other senses are similarly in some kind of contact. In sight, You see the thing because the thing is there, not because it affects you. Because it's at a distance, it doesn't affect you at all. You can close your eyes and deny that its existence. You can't close your eyes and deny the existence of the table that you're touching. Anything that you see, there's nothing compelling you to there's nothing compelling you to recognize that it exists except for the fact that it's a truth. And this is the most overpowering thing. This is the greatest gift. That it's really true. And this is the seichel. Seichel is where we see the truth, and this power, the thing that it is truth, this creates a midah that acts. Then the midah, when it comes to ahava, it is true, it's my ahava. But this ahava has a cognizance, recognition. There's a sense in it that it's not just my personal choice, but that's the truth. I love it, and it deserves to be loved. It is a good thing. And I thank God that I have the opportunity to be related to that which is true. So it's different, completely different ahava, completely different yira. This is what we say. This was over here, that the midas should be able to ipoya b'piula teva ushleima while they are making dafka. That which midas detect, identify on their own, will not come about to be a piula teva ushleima, because it becomes a personal selection, preference. The midas that come out, these are midas that have substance, that have truth to them.
But there's no possibility. I mean, we learned that with the even with the nefesh bahamis, that the midas and nefesh bahamis are dependent on the seichel at least to show it what there is to direct it. So then you're making it sound as if there's an ability of midas without seichel.
Right. No, the difference is in midas and nefesh bahamis. This is what you learned. You remember that, and nefesh bahamis also has seichel. That's how we can affect the nefesh bahamis. But there, the nefesh bahamis only refers to the seichel to detect, to tell it that there is. But that I want it, that it's a good thing, this is something which I choose myself. That's a nefesh bahamis. Nefesh bahamis does not really seek to know the truth. It seeks to know what I like. Seichel helps it to find it. But because it has seichel, therefore we have an in. We can also talk to him. There's a certain common language at some point. Okay. The effect of midas is dafke to make, even though midas are really the weapon and the strength with which we conquer. You can think of this in terms of an army. An army has generals. And generals have to be subservient and obedient to the government, to the civilian government. That's in a normal society. There's a civilian government, and then there are generals, and the army is a branch of the government. And it will be foolish for the president to involve himself in the conduct of war. But it would be a crime for the general to conduct war without the consent of the president. So when the soldier goes out to war, he's the real warrior. He goes out to war, he's got a gun, and he exposes himself to this danger, and goes out to fight. On what basis? If he goes out to fight just because, like we spoke about one time before, that's because there's an enemy who's going to try to shoot me. Remember this question I explained? It's going to be a lost war. He's going to fight the enemy because he's under the direction of a general. It's with a strategy. Where he should shoot, which direction, which enemy to confront, and so forth. Then beyond that, there is the government that decided that this is for the benefit of his country to go and fight these enemies. This is when his action become wholesome and complete. That he senses that he's doing something real. Otherwise, it's just a reaction to the enemy, and it's not a war. It's a lost war. Sorry?
How is example to the Sechel and Midas?
The Midas are the ones that confront the enemy. The Midas of Nefesh Elokis confront the Midas of Nefesh Abamis. This is where the clash is. This is where the front. The soldier confronts the enemy. But if he should confront the enemy directly, without the direction of the general, and without the encouragement of the government, then he doesn't have the spirit to do it. He can't do it.
You mean the Midas of Nefesh Elokis, not fight which Midas of Nefesh Elokis which are strong.
Without the guidance from Meichin. Meichin is what gives it a real substance. Yeah. And that influence, that directive, comes orderly and gradually. It is not, as we shall see, from one madrega to a completely different madrega. There's some kind of interrelationship. Mehamidos, mehamoichin. The Tzedva Hadraga is, the order is, from moichin into midos shebeseichel, to the level of midos within seichel. Umehamidos shebeseichel, from that level to the level of the seichel shebemidos, to the seichel that's in midos. Umiseichel shebemidos, and then from the seichel that's in midos, lemidos hagluyoy shebelev. It descends into the revealed and active and forceful midos in the heart.
Is it differentiating here between Meichin and Seichel?
No, Meichin and Seichel is the same.
So what are we going to explain now? What is
Yes, believe me. We discussed it a little bit less time, but we only start. Let me just say a few words and following through. Va'azai, and then, if it goes through this process, hine hamidois hei mehudoros, then the midos are mehudor. They are rich, beautiful, mesukonos and perfect. Umeloyois koyach rav, and they're full with great power. Lifoil piuloson, to affect and their function. V'nikroyim yoim miluyim, and they are called yoim miluyim. Yoim miluyim means the days of miluyim. Miluyim means that which empowers, empowering. Just like when Aaron HaKohen became a Kohen, the Kohen became Kohanim, they had 7 days, what's called 7 days of miluyim. What's miluyim in inauguration? But it was inauguration that actually empowered them to do the avodah. Inauguration.
Training?
Huh?
Training?
No. Inauguration means to it's a process that brings a person from being an individual, a private citizen, into a public office. It's called inauguration. He is being moved, elevated, and given the power to do things that his actions will have the power of a communal action rather than of an individual. It's called inauguration.
So in these 7 days, they become from the simple people like Kohanim.
Mm-hmm. Right. The Kohanim, the Yom Miluyim, the Meish Miluyim in the Chumash are referred to the Kohanim. When the Kohanim became Kohanim, so there were 7 days during which they had to do certain things in order to reach that point. But now they can do the avodah. That's called Malois. Malois, the word Malois means to fill. And it's expression meaning that you are empowered to do it. You're filled. Means you're empowered, you're given the right to do this. Now, we have here Meichen lemidos, midas shebeseichel, midas shebeseichel and seichel shemidas. That's 3 madreges. Seichel shemidas. That's in midas agluis. So we have 4 madreges over here. In each one of these, in each one of the seichel and the midos, we have 2 madreges. We have the seichel and we have the midos shebeseichel. And then we have the midos. In the midas we have also 2 madrigas, seichel shebemidas and midas shebemidas. So, coming back to our discussion earlier, midas and seichel are very different. Midas are personal or subjective, and seichel is objective. So if the seichel were exclusively objective, he's not thinking at all in the seichel, or sensing that this which he understands has something to do with him. This is something which is at a distance. It's true, but it has nothing to do with him. In other words, if it does not sense the inyan that in this seichel there is something for him, then it will never develop further down into midas. This step is called midas shebeseichel, the midas in seichel. Seichel itself, we can take a simple illustration. we need a little bit, concentration, a little bit to be able to perceive this as reality. But it is true. I mean, when you tell a person you have $1 million, everybody reacts automatically and doesn't realize that there are several aspects to this. When you say you have won a lot of money, $1 million, so some people, many people, most people will react entirely with midas. What does $1 million mean? Now I don't have to worry about my mortgage payment. I don't have to worry about various things that I'm worried about. This is not really evaluating what happened, what he has. This is just taking it from a very narrow personal perspective. But it alleviates his worries and his problems. There's a completely different aspect to this, because if we have a larger sum of money, this has and there's a certain value, and if it's used wisely, it can be a basis for developing a whole business. It's not just to pay your immediate debts. And to alleviate your immediate problems. There's a certain general value to it. And if a person actually comes in, realizes that he has an excessive amount of resources, like $1 billion, then if he is a wise person, then he has to sense that now he has responsibility not only for himself, but for other people as well. He has resources way beyond. He has to evaluate it correctly, what it is, what this is about. How come? What kind of power? What was he entrusted with? So one has to view this from a seichel perspective. A bardas, it's not a bardas. A bardas means that he sees it not just from a personal evaluation, a personal experience, but what is its real value? Objectively. And then, from sensing its real value, so then it comes down into the midah shebaseichel, which means that this is what it can do, and that which it can do is a good thing. Good means that this is already something which is personal. It's a good thing to do. And if it does not sense that this is a good thing, it's just, here is what it can do. Then that money was going to sit in the bank, and he won't know what to do with it. He knows all the things that he's capable of doing, but there's no inclination of doing anything. So in the seichel itself, in moichin itself, there is the pure seichel, the reality of it, and then there is in moichin also, since that the understanding in moichin, who understands it? This is a living human being. So there is the sense in the moichin, in the seichel, that not only what I'm able to do, what is able to be done, but this is a good thing. This is something which was entrusted to me. And I have a sense of responsibility to use it right. This is called midas shebaseichel. Once a person comes down to this state, where he senses this, not only its value, but also the quality of this value, what it means in a real sense, in the practical sense, then that can influence his midas. And this is called the seichel within the midas. That the midas, his heart, he feels, I have an opportunity to do great things. And he gets excited. I have the opportunity to do real good things. That's already becomes midas. And from that comes the midah itself, that I really want to go and do this. I want to take this money and I want to help build a school or help build whatever other good things. The specific thing upon which I'm going to exercise the opportunity. So that when he approaches this, I want to build this school, it isn't just I want to build this school. I want to build this school because I sense I really want to do something very good. And I really want to do something, I'm excited about it, because I realize in my mind that this is a good thing. And what brought me realizing that? Because I had given this privileged opportunity to do it. That way, there's a wholesomeness. You know what wholesomeness means? A richness in this whole act. It is not just merely satisfying, giving me a little covet, a little excitement. There's a whole wholesomeness. There's a seichel and the midas. The whole person is involved. He really takes it seriously. It really means something to him. Then the midas are really what's called the wholesome midas. He's excited, but it's not just his excitement that he is involved in. He's involved in what he's actually accomplishing, what he's trying to do. This is what a human being is. This is why, by human being, seichel and midas do not function independently. And if you see a person who's habar seichel on the one hand, and then he gets excited and he loses himself, that's not the way midas are supposed to work. The seichel is supposed to influence the midas. And when he gets excited, he's excited with a meaning, not just because I'm excited. Why are you excited? What's the purpose of it? What's the value behind it? What's the seichel behind that excitement? It's called the seichel of the midas. And it's important, the Rebbe explains here, that it goes down in this organized, gradual way, so that there is not a gap between the seichel and the midas. Like this Aristotle, where he was about seichel, and there is midas, and they don't connect. There is no gap. Let me explain to you what actually occurred by Aristotle, who was this great genius, mind and philosopher. Because his philosophy was not based on Torah. When we learn, quote unquote, philosophy, we're not learning philosophy for the sake of philosophy. We're learning to understand how we bring down Elokus into the world, how the world is created, what is the purpose of the world. So the philosophy is not pure philosophy for the sake of philosophy. There's no purpose in that. It's a wholesome philosophy that connects the upper world to the lower world. By him, he didn't have Torah. He was all excited and all imbued with the recognition that seichel, of the greatness of seichel. And by him seichel, what was for the sake of seichel itself. Seichel for the purpose of seichel. Therefore you can have seichel and midas, and they don't talk to each other. What does midas have to do with seichel? And even when you talked about ethics, he talked about ethics from a seichel perspective. Seichel says that, but it's not compelling to the midas. Why should it? Torah puts the demand that we should bring the truth down into the world. This is what Torah is. We have a directive to bring the truth into the world. That's because Torah comes from Nebush. The creator of the world is one who gave us the Torah. And he wants us to transform the world. But when you take all the highest, the most deepest philosophies, but only from a human perspective, I enjoy thinking philosophy. So what does that have to do with me? What does it do with my actions? I don't enjoy to act. And when I get involved in acting, that's totally a separate world. But a wholesome midah, the Rebbe says, is when it goes through these rungs, and through these ranks of seichel, midah sheba seichel, seichel sheba midas, and midas sheba midas. And the reason that is true, the reason that there is midas in the seichel, is that the seichel is not for its own sake. In other words, the seichel itself has an aspect of Kabbalah soil. Okay, I understand it. So what's the purpose of me understanding it? Where is there, so to speak, avodas Hashem in this understanding? So the seichel also has an aspect of Kabbalah soil. Even though I understand it, but I'm not going to act just because I understand. What is this about? Why was I given this understanding? This is the midah sheba seichel. Because the seichel recognizes that I'm not there for my own sake. Everything has to end up and lead to avodas Hashem. Just like we spoke about before, about the wealth. A person has enormous wealth. If he thinks of the wealth, I have it, then it's useless. It's useless. It's not wealth. Wealth is that which comes from Hashem. What does it mean? What is the significance of it? Why was I given this? What kind of responsibility comes along with it? And when you look at things from this wholesome perspective, from a perspective of a godly world, then automatically there is midas in the seichel, and there is seichel in the midas, and there is midas. And it goes down in this fashion. This we have even today for those people who are familiar with the university scene, with the professors and all that. You have professors who are highly educated people with tremendous minds who have the capacity of retaining a tremendous amount of information, and also digging in and studying it and slicing it and so forth. And morally and in terms of their personality, I mean children. These great professors are capable of bickering about the smallest stupidity. Right?
There's a famous, I haven't heard actual event, but it's a story worth mentioning. That there was a famous professor that was the head of the ethics department in Yale or one of these big Ivy League schools, and he also taught, I believe, geometry in another class. So at one point he got caught in an illicit relationship with one of his students. So they asked him, how is it possible that you, the head of the ethics department, got caught involved in such a relationship? He said, I also teach geometry and I'm not a triangle.
Okay, then this is this is, you'd say there was a nisoyan, whatever it is. I'm talking about trivialities, literally trivialities. You know, we sit down to discuss something. Who, which is my seat, and why? How come his chair is nicer, is more comfortable than my chair? Things like that. I know people talk to me who are in universities, and they have to interview potential teachers and all, and if the potential hiree, potential teacher, looked at him in the wrong way, forget it. He's out. He may be the best teacher. But if inadvertently he had misstepped, he's out. There's no reality to it. It's all personal. And really in terms from a perspective of a what we call bar da'as, where you view your life from a seichelic values, they're children. Despite the fact that they're geniuses and know a whole bunch of stuff. All their genius and all their knowledge is all focused on one thing. Look how great I am. There's no real value to anything. So, the real seichel is seichel that is seichel atayra, seichel alaki. And seichel alaki inevitably demands that this seichel have a purpose. Come down into midas. There's midas sheba seichel, and the seichel sheba midas, and then there's midas. Then it's a wholesome person. His actions are you can trust his actions. Okay? Okay. Okay, so I'm going back to this line that we went through quickly. Va'azai, then, if it goes through in this proper way, so that the midas can actually be fed and imbued with the seichel, then harei hamidos hei mehudoris. So the midas are mehudor. Mehudor means beautiful. What is beauty? Beauty, again, in our world, has been completely misconstrued. Beauty is the periphery, the outside. When is Mahudar apply? When you have a healthy inside. And then you decorate it. But if you have, as we saw, a rotten inside, and you decorate it, then it's not Mahudar. The Hidur comes out as a result of a beautiful inside. The Midas are Mahudar. Why are they Mahudar? Because they have a tremendous inside, a tremendous chayas and nefesh inside from the Seichel. Therefore they come out Mahudar. When you want to do something, and you want to in Halacha it says that if you give tzedakah to a poor man, in addition to giving him the dollar or the penny, makes no difference, whatever you measure of giving it, is there's a big difference in how you make him feel in this giving. So if the giving is only from your midas, then there is a sense of, look what a good man I am, I'm giving you this penny. That is not very encouraging to the poor man. But if your giving comes from the seichel, that I am obligated to help him, you turn around and give it to him, what's called b'sever ponim yofis. You give him a little encouragement, you give him a little respect, so he doesn't feel so badly about his situation that he has to come and beg you. That is mitzad the seichel. But you realize there is something real, something valuable, something important. You have an obligation. Even though there is midas, but the midah is mahuda. There is this extra beauty to it. Why? Because inside this midah is also a wholesome midah. It's not just a gift, but it's a gift with an insight, with an understanding why you do, what's behind it. The midah mahudoris umisukonos, and they're perfect. Umloyois koyach rav, and they're full with great strength. Lifel piolos, to affect their action. Lifel piolos. This inyan is called Yoim Miluyim. Miluyim, as we said, means inauguration or empowerment. Everybody knows the word empowerment? So why don't you stop me? I said several times before empowerment.
It's the same with your
Inauguration. No, it's not the same word. Huh? Empowerment. Yipul koyach. Yipul koyach. Right. Yipul koyach is more than just giving you the right and the permission to do it. Yipul koyach means it's actually putting in a position of koyach. It gives you strength to do it. Something that on your own, your actions would not count. With this Yipul koyach, your actions count. And what empowers the midos? What empowers the midos? The seichel. This is what empowers the midos. And that seichel is called yoim. That's called yoim miluyim. The day of miluyim. Not the time of miluyim, but it's called yoim miluyim. Abba explains. The yoim moira al ha'oyer. The word yoim alludes to day, to light. That's what the difference between yoim and laila. Yoim means does not mean just a certain 12-hour period. Yoim means light. Moir al ha'oyer. U'kmei shekosov, as the pasuk says, vayikra elikim lo'oyer yoim. Yoim is synonymous with oyer. Hashem gave the word, the name yoim to light. And therefore when you say yoim elois, it means the hamidos meloyos oyer. The midos are full with the light of hahiskalulus shel hamidos zeloson, of the hiskalulus, of the intertwining, interconnection with midos zuloson, with other midos. Umeloyois meyoir hamoichin, and they are full with the light of the moichin, alidei hamidos shebeseichel. The light from the moichin comes into the midos because in the moichin there is the midos shebeseichel. So therefore, in moichin there is that ability to shed light onto the midos. The ability to shed light onto midos in moichin is called midos shebeseichel.
What does these clauses of the midas have to do with?
One second. It's called, the ability to shed light from moichin into midos is called midos shebeseichel. Because if you tell midos objectively this is a great thing, it doesn't touch him. To shed light, to illuminate the midas, you have to bring it with a midas qualifier. This is not just great, but this is good. This is the right thing. That way, the light of the seichel is understood by the midas. And this is what the Hiskalos Shel Hamidas is. Oira Hiskalos Shel Hamidas, like we said, we learned way back in the previous Maimon, that the union of Hiskalos is when you see multiple qualities that are really, really different, disparate things that all cooperate, coordinate together. Why do they cooperate? Because there is a higher oir that directs them. This is the Hiskalos Shel Hamidas. When you have Hiskalos Hamidas, you have a wholesome person. I'll give you an example. There's a person who is very kind-hearted, soft-hearted. And when you ask him to do you a favor, you ask him for an adova, he doesn't know how to say no. He doesn't know how to ask, what is it about? He just melts away. You ask him, and he melts away. So it's very nice. He's a very good person. Does good things. But how does that compare with a person that you approach him? Ask him, you need, whatever it is, you need to support your school. Oh yeah? What do you do in your school? How many children do you have? What do you teach? Who are you mlamdim? Are they Chassidus Yidden? Or are they, what type of curriculum? And then he is convinced that this is a good thing, and he takes out and gives you an adova. It's a completely different gift. There you have a combination of gvura and chesed and tiferes. He didn't just fall for you, fall over. He questioned it. He wanted to know some precision. What happens over there? You're doing good thing. Show me. How good is it? That's called a combination of midas. And the reason there's a combination of this midas is because there is this overall oir, overall recognition that has to be something real. Not something that makes me feel good, that looks good. Something that's real. This is called yoim. This is called light. Just like in light, the difference between light and dark is in darkness, if you enter this room and it's pitch dark, after a while, you're feeling you're around, you can identify the position of every chair and every table that's in the room. Right? You feel your way around. But then each chair is a separate Metzias. And each table is a separate Metzias. There's a chair here, there's a table here, there's a this, there's a that. So that when you walk, remember there's a table over there. Watch out, don't walk into it. There isn't an overall perspective of what is this room about? What's happening here? When you walk in and it's light, in addition to the fact that it's instantaneous, your observation is instantaneous. You don't have to go through and touch everything. But it's more than that. You see a completely different thing than chairs and tables. You see everything. All the colors, all the different things. It's not just that, it's not just that, it's not just that, it's all of these things. And somehow they blend together in a form of one great wholesome presence. That's called hiskalos. This hiskalos is possible only when it's light. In the dark, you can't have this hiskalos. You identify each thing separately. The same thing in a person who doesn't have the oir haseichel. So he's either good or bad. He's either kind or vicious. How is Midas directing to me? But to recognize an overall thing and question, like I said, if somebody questions, what are you collecting about? And who guarantees that you do all the things? Show me your letter of recommendation. You have to come with a rope, sign, I know this person, I know it. It's a completely different thing. So somebody on the side will say, oh, what kind of thing is this? He's interrogating this man. He's not being nice to him. You understand? It's not being nice to him. He wants to get a real sense of the reality.
So why in the Maimer, it makes it sound like you're talking about two different things. It says V'nikra Yem Loim, and then the Hamides Lois Ha'izchalvus Shel Hamides Zulasan. Meaning two different things. One is a light which comes from his chalus midas, and separate and distinct from that is a light which comes from the moichin. It doesn't say that his chalus is the result of the light which comes from the moichin, but rather it's a distinct
These two in saying they're distinct. They are distinct in a certain sense. There are two ways that light can be, you can shed light on things. One is through his colors, and one is direct light. Like in the case of a dark room, we said before. If you walk around long enough and you try to formulate a picture of what it is that this room, what you identified in this room, you can also formulate a certain, say, oh, that's what it's about. You start off with individual pieces, but that's what it's about. So then the hiskalulus creates the oir. But the real oir is when the oir comes milmaila from the seichel.
So in order to have this aspect of Yem Elohim, so seemingly we would not need the Erhis Kalus Shal Hamidei Zulasan. Because that's completely not necessary when you have the Er HaMeichin.
No, you have to have both. You have to have both because the Er HaMeichin helps you to create the Hiskalus. But Hiskalus Hamidei substantiate this light.
No, in the mashal, if a person were to walk around to feel everything in the room and would come up with a picture and in his mind, and then you turn on the light. So that picture which he had in his mind before he turned on the lights is not at all going to help him. it's going to be completely, it's not going to be Tevis Makim anymore. Now we can see, and that previous image is completely.
Well, think about it. You walk into a room and you say instantaneously, okay, boof, this is what it is. But then you stop yourself and say, okay, let me see how many tables are here, how many chairs are here. That you don't observe in the first glance. And therefore, how big a school is this? There's certain things that come even in light from his colors. Something real. Okay. So this will be it for today. You'll be here Wednesday? Yeah? Wow, you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the presence of mind under the circumstances to sit here and make notes. Good.
Because I finished everything for Hashem.
Yeah.
I had to do. So.
Beautiful.
I mean, there's still things I could do. But I'm probably
This is what you're doing.
Yeah, this is what I have to do.
Good hachana. You're also in that position?
What position?
You got your mimer down packed?
I'm
Still working on it.
negotiation.
Negotiating. All right, gentlemen. Okay, somebody has to turn off the machine over there.